Last thing I want to speak about is the FIFA Club World Cup. And I don't want to dwell too much on the draw and all of those things. I think the draw actually made me look at the Club World Cup a little bit differently. Now, when you speak about the Club World Cup, you speak about the 12 teams from Europe and the 32 teams overall from across the world, and you kind of make it seem like, it sounds like it's a little bit unfair. But when you actually see how it panned out, and you're seeing about Benfica, and you're seeing generally how it's been spread out, I think it's a lot more competitive than I would have thought when it was announced. With all of the teams, I still have an issue with having so many European teams in there. But yeah, it is what it is. They also apparently can't meet until the semi-finals as European teams. So they're trying to make sure that, again, they jimmy the Club World Cup system to try and make sure the European teams are through. If you think about the previous format, the European teams would really, the team that won the Champions League, the UEFA Champions League, would only arrive in the semis. They'd parachute them in. And by that time, the other teams that have made it to the semis have played 2-3 high-intensity games versus very good competition. And not only are they now tired and all of that stuff, now you have to face the European teams. But besides that, I think it was great. If we look at the African teams, I think barring outside of Iwit Casablanca, we as Africa got a good draw. ES Tunis can be competitive in their team, in their side. I think Ahly can do the business with Inter Miami. Yes, Messi's there, but I don't think the quality of Inter Miami is that strong. So you could see Ahly making it out of that group. But I want to speak, and then with that, of course, Shem, Juventus. Juventus and Man City, that's going to be very interesting. But I want to first start with Mamelodi Sundowns. Very, very interesting. Mamelodi Sundowns, of course, finds themselves in a group with Ulsan HD, a Korean team. They're also with Fluminense, a team that is very famous. They became famous for that game versus Man City in the other Club World Cup tournament, where they sort of outpassed City. They were building out from the back. City was trying to press, but they were breaking the press. Did they win? No, but they looked like a very scary team. And then, of course, you have Dortmund, which is, they're the guys that were playing the most recent finalists in the UEFA Champions League. They're the team that Real Madrid beat to win the Champions League. So that already speaks volumes of where Dortmund is. Of course, we know the history of Dortmund. So they're, of course, the biggest team there. But the most interesting thing about this draw is not very many places where we get to see Mamelodi Sundowns be the smaller team, where we get to see Mamelodi Sundowns be the Makesi of the tournament. Right, where nobody's expecting too much from them. You can even see in the coverage of Mamelodi Sundowns with Diashota, man. They feel like that team that was added on the report, the article released by FIFA itself after the draw. They used Coach Rulani, head coach of Mamelodi Sundowns, and his quotes about Wydad Casablanca, him speaking about his Wydad team, but they put it in the party of Mamelodi Sundowns. Yay! It was a mess, man, and you could tell that they're an afterthought. Sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, Supersport needs to come fetch me and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abu Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult, and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, yeah, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And being an afterthought poses a couple of questions. Number one, it's a very big opportunity. So can Mamelodi Sundowns take advantage of the opportunity of being the unknown team, quote unquote? Last time they played this tournament was in 2016. So being the unknown team, the smaller team, the team that people look over, that sometimes gives you the edge because it's hard to prepare for those type of teams, number one. And it's hard to take them seriously. You can ask Mamelodi Sundowns themselves when they took on Imakesi, that maybe they thought in their heads that it's a foregone conclusion that they've won this tournament and played a little bit relaxed, only to be shocked by Imakesi. And I'm sorry, Mamelodi Sundowns fans, to bring it up again, but it's a very good comparison. Can Sundowns play versus Ulsan and get a result? Can they play versus the Fluminense team and get a result? Can they play versus Dortmund? And I don't think they're going to win that game. I know it's still months away, but I don't think they're going to win that game. But can they maybe squeak something that shows that South African football and Mamelodi Sundowns is actually a team to be reckoned with, number one. Number two, how are they going to play? The Club World Cup will now happen every 4 years. So we're almost guaranteed that the Sundowns team that plays this year is going to be wildly different than the one that plays in 4 years' time, in terms of the players, in terms of the coaching even. I don't know if Coach Mangoba is going to make it 4 years from now. You may have a little bit of a cushion to say that Mamelodi Sundowns figures in the semi-finals so much that if you look at the points tallies, they will always be one of the top 4 teams in Africa. They'll always be there. So you could argue that they will make it into this tournament every time. But that brings into question then how they approach this tournament. Do you play a defensive game? So do you sit back and maybe try and be pragmatic? You're not going to have the ball. You're going to be playing versus better players. So let's sit back and defend, basically. Let's sit back and see if we can't catch them on the counter on the break. Let's sit back and see if we can't take the damage on, right? Let's see if we can't take the damage on and go from there. Which is interesting because Mamelodi Sundowns doesn't play that football normally. So you could ask if that is going to be a smart thing to do, owing to the fact that you're not used to that football, or do you go out and just play your game? Mamelodi Sundowns under Coach Mangoba is a direct team. They're a team that wants to make box entries. They want to commit people forward. They want to catch you on the counter a lot quicker, but also have the ability to hold possession. The Rulani heritage is holding the ball. Williams is comfortable with the ball. Obas is growing into that role. Hopefully Kutsia will be back. That'll be far more interesting. You have players like Abomudi, Babo Alenda who can control a game. So do you go out to try win the ball back and then frustrate the other team? Maybe get them into an area where they're thinking, how are we not playing versus the smaller team, similar to what Fluminense did? Which is probably your best bet, also knowing that it's going to be 4 years until you come back to this tournament. Do they shoot their shot fully here? Those are all, I think, very interesting questions, and I think we'll know a little bit more as we go forward and we get closer to the actual tournament. But yeah, I would love Mamelodi Sundowns to make a statement at that tournament. I would love some of the players to make a statement and maybe find themselves moving. Think about what playing in a Club World Cup could do for a player like Ulithaku, Abomapena. Think about where they could go from there. I know the other guys are a little bit later in their careers and older, but I'm looking at those youngsters and thinking, this is a great chance. I'm looking at even some of the senior players and thinking, look, if you want to escape Africa, that would be a best shot. And it may not be to the top teams, but it may be to teams that are significant enough to give you a pay rise, to give you that exposure for the next few years. So I'm expecting them to go hard there. But for me, the biggest thing that's coming out of this is the Wydad draw, because like I said, Wydad is going to be in a group with Juventus and Man City. And that means that Coach Rulani is going to meet his idol. He's going to meet his mentor from afar. Coach Pep Rulani is going to be playing versus Coach Pep Guardiaola, which I think, I don't even want to go into the games and the golf in class and all of that stuff. I just want to think about how incredible this is that the Club World Cup is allowing this. And I think that's the beauty of this tournament and the rebrand of the tournament, and the restructure of the tournament, that now Coach Rulani can go and play versus the heroes, can go and play meaningful football. And this is where the move that Coach Rulani made to Wydad sort of made sense. Because number one, Wydad is not in the CAF Champions League this year. So he's going to get a year where he's going to get to work with the team without necessarily having the pressure of going out to have to win the Champions League. He's going to play in the league. Obviously, there's pressure in the league, but it's less games, it's less travel, it's less of a lot of things where you can sit down and work with the team. But the biggest advantage was, if you're leaving Mamelodi Sundowns, the team that has qualified for the Club World Cup, it helps you to join a team that is playing in the Club World Cup. And that is what Wydad is giving Rulani a chance to do. And while a lot of us questioned Coach Rulani moving to Wydad, saying that maybe it's the kiss of death, seeing where Coach Pitso ended up, even when he moved to the biggest team in the continent, Ahly, and won the Champions League with that team. I believe it was twice. And how it didn't help him get out. Maybe this Club World Cup presents a chance for Rulani to really put himself out there, to really give him a chance to go and coach in the biggest leagues, coach the biggest teams, coach in there, even if it means that he's a set-piece coach for some of these coaches. But the fact that Pep Guardiola is going to leave that game thinking, wow, I played against that African coach who did amazingly, let's say. Wow, some of the systems that guy was bringing up could maybe help him going forward, maybe getting an endorsement from Pep Guardiola. But then also knowing that Man City is one of the bigger European teams taking part in this Club World Cup. So maybe, even from that point of view alone, that a lot of eyes are going to be on this Manchester City. And you know that America hosting this thing and FIFA trying to make at least the inaugural one big, is going to be plenty of coverage. So it represents a chance for Coach Rulani to really prove that he is one of the brightest coaches in Africa, to prove that maybe he deserves to be in Europe. It could even be one for Manqoba, to show that not only did I win the MTN 8 in 2008, but I went to the Club World Cup and I showed some teams flames. Who knows what that means for his career? As we know, coaching is a long-term career. So many opportunities, but I am just so happy that Coach Rulani will get to face Pep. Guys, if you follow Coach Rulani, you know that his Instagram stories are mostly to do with Pep Guardiola. Quotes, tactics, breakdowns, press conferences. So yeah, even we did. They did a video showing his reaction to getting drawn with Man City specifically. So good luck to Coach Rulani, good luck to Coach Manqoba, good luck to Sundowns, Esperance, Al Ahly and Wydad as they go and represent Africa in the Club World Cup.